Hello everyone, welcome to In Focus program. Today's topic of discussion is Indo-US cooperation in agriculture and its lessons. So the points of discussion will be background of the news, the first agricultural university in India, relationships with US land grant universities, the seeds of the Green Revolution, how those seeds were sown in India, why did the US help India, and practice questions. First of all, moving on to the background of the news. Post-independent Soviet Union played a major role in the early industrialization of India through supply of capital equipment and technology. The major projects concluded in collaboration of Soviet Union includes the Bhilai and Bokaro steel plants, Barauni and Koyali refineries, Bharat Heavy Electricals, Heavy Engineering Corporation, Mining and Allied Machinery Corporation, Neyveli Thermal Power Station, Indian Drugs and Pharmaceuticals, and oil prospecting and drilling at 𝐾𝐨𝐬𝐿. Now let's discuss about the first agricultural university in India. In 1950s, the land grant universities in the US were visited by Major H.S. Sandhu and the UP's Chief Secretary A.N. Jha. These institutes were set up on public land and were engaged in agricultural education as well as research. This was unlike the agricultural and veterinary colleges in India that merely taught and produced graduates. State agricultural departments were tasked to foresee the research and development. On their return, the officials recommended that a US land grant model agricultural university be established in India as well. Such university would encourage an environment more conducive for learning, purposeful and problem-solving research and knowledge dissemination to farmers. Though the idea was accepted by the CM, but the formal proposal to the centre for starting an agricultural university at Rudrapur in the Tarai was submitted only around September 1956. This proposal was based on a blueprint for a rural university in India prepared by H.W. Hanna, Associate Dean of the University of Illinois. The UP Agricultural University Act was passed in 1958 and it led to the establishment of the UP Agricultural University in 1960. Now let's have a look at the relationships with US land grant universities. Hanna's blueprint was published by the Indian Council of Agricultural Research and circulated to interested state governments. It led to as many as 8 agricultural universities coming up within 8 years, mostly at the initiative of the chief ministers themselves. All the 8 universities received the US Agency for International Development's assistance for training of faculty and provision of equipment and books. The universities were to have their own research farms, regional stations and substations, and seed production facilities. The importance accorded by the US to the whole project can be gauged from its ambassadors John K. Galbraith and Chester Bowles gracing the opening of the Odisha and Mysore agricultural universities respectively. Now let's discuss about the seeds of Green Revolution. Traditional wheat and rice varieties were tall and slender. They grew vertically on application of fertilizers and water while lodging, bending over or even falling when their ear heads were heavy with well-filled grains. The Green Revolution introduced the breeding semi-dwarf varieties with strong stems that didn't lodge. These varieties could tolerate higher fertilizer application. A wheat variety developed at an experimental station after the World War II was identified by an American biologist S.C. Salmon in 1949. He took Norin 10 seeds and gave them to Orville Vogel, a wheat breeder at the Washington State University, Pullman. Vogel crossed Norin 10 with locally grown US winter wheats. From those crosses, one variety giving 25% higher grain yields was selected in 1956 and released as gains. The seeds of Norin 10 and his original crosses were shared by Vogel with Norman Borlaug, who worked at the Rockefeller Foundation in Mexico. He in turn crossed these with the string wheats grown in Mexico. Now let's understand how the seeds of Green Revolution were sown in India. Around 1957-58, M.S. Swaminathan, who was scientist at the Indian Agricultural Research Institute in New Delhi, saw a paper on the Norin 10 genes by Vogel in the American Agronomy Journal. He wrote to Vogel for the seeds of Guineas. Vogel responded but noted that Guineas, being a winter wheat, wouldn't flower in Indian conditions. He was then directed to Borlaug, whose spring wheats containing the dwarfing genes were better suited for the country. Borlaug came to India only in March 1963 following a request placed to the Rockefeller Foundation. He sent the seeds of 4 Mexican wheat varieties bred by him. The seeds were first sown in the trial fields of IARI and the new agricultural universities at Pantnagar and Ludhiana. By 1966-67, farmers were planting these in large scale, and India, from being an importer, turned self-sufficient in wheat. Why did the US help India? The answer lies in the Cold War geopolitics and great power rivalry of those times. It resulted in competition to do good, extending to fighting world hunger and sharing of knowledge and plant genetic material that were viewed as global public goods. India, contrary to popular perception, wasn't aligned to either bloc at least till the 60s, and this policy of non-alignment paid off well for India. Now it's time for the practice questions. First of all, prelims question: which one of the following was not a part of the strategies followed by the Government of India to increase food grain production in India immediately after independence? Intensification of cropping already cultivated land, increasing cultivable area by bringing cultivable and fallow land under plough, using high-yielding variety seeds, or switching over from cash crops to food crops. And now mains question: critically examine the defects of the Green Revolution in India in spite of having several achievements. So that's all for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching.